Hey guys, Doug B here, back at it for another week. This week we are getting back to your requests. At Tallypicker1944 asked this. Hi Doug, like your channel. You speak like a pro instructor, which is refreshing. Can you do a demo on MIDI output using the gig setlist to start a backing track from the Tone Master Pro? I have a Boss RC5 and Tone Master Pro. I'm hoping to start and play backing tracks from my RC5 using the song feature of the Tone Master. The RC5 can hold large, full song tracks and has MIDI control. Well, thanks at Tallypicker1944. I did pick up an RC5 last year and use it on a video for using an external looper with the Tone Master Pro. I'll post a link in the description. Now, there are a number of steps that need to be done to accomplish this request. First, let's take a look at the RC5. On the Boss website, there's a page called 5 RC5 Tips for the Gigging Musician. The first tip goes like this. BYOB, or be your own band. With up to 99 phrase memories and 13 hours of stereo recording time on board, the RC5 makes it easy and convenient to put an arsenal of ideas at your feet. This means that you can prepare bass lines, vocal harmonies, extra guitar parts, and any sound that you can capture at home, and drop them into the RC5's memory via USB. The only limit is your imagination. You can even import entire full-length backing tracks to perform with. When they talk about phrase memories, that could be anything from a loop to a complete song. So you have 13 hours of stereo storage that can be divided amongst 99 storage slots. That means that if you are so inclined, you could have 99 backing tracks just shy of 8 minutes in length each. So the first step is getting all of your backing tracks ready to import into the RC5. They have to be in WAV format. MP3s won't work. If the tracks you have are in MP3 format, you can always download Audacity, which is a free audio editor. There are many videos available that show you how to use Audacity to convert your MP3s to WAV. I'll have a link for Audacity in the description. Okay, so now you have all of your backing tracks ready to move to the RC5. But how do you move them? It's not just a simple drag and drop procedure. I mean, that would be too easy, wouldn't it? No, you have to use the Boss Tone Studio for RC software to do that. Luckily, this software is free, and I'll have a link for it in the description. Okay, now you've downloaded and installed the Boss Tone Studio for RC software. So how do you use it to move your backing tracks from your computer to the RC5? To import a WAV file to a Boss RC5, connect the RC5 to your computer via USB. Then use the Boss Tone Studio for RC software to import the WAV file directly into the RC5's memory. Essentially, you'll be treating the RC5 like a removable drive and transferring the audio file through the software interface. So the very first thing you'd want to do is plug the USB cable from your computer into the RC5's USB port. Now we launch the Boss Tone Studio for RC software. And guys, this takes at least a minute or two, so be patient, let it go. Once you've started up the software, you'll get a message on the RC5 saying Editor Connecting. Now in the software, click the Import button. Then browse to the location of your WAV files and import them one at a time into the desired memory locations on the RC5. Now I've already imported this first track, so let me go and import the second track. I click on it, then I click on Open. You get this screen asking you where to put it. Now you can see I already have this one in Memory 1 Track 1, so we'll add this one to Memory 2 Track 1. Then click on the Import button. Now once the transfer is done, you get no verification that anything happened. But you can check to make sure that the file got transferred by clicking on Export in the app, right up here. Now you can see I've got tracking 1 is the backing track jam in A minor, and Memory 2 is backing track jam in E. So they both made it. Now important points. Make sure that your WAV files are in a compatible format that the RC5 can read. Check for the latest version of Boss Tone Studio for RC to ensure optimal functionality. I'm using version 1.3.0. You can organize your imported WAV files within the RC5's memory using the software interface. Now, it took less than a minute to import that 3-minute WAV file, so this honestly is not going to be a long process. There's one setting you have to make in each of your tracks after they've been imported. Remember, these are loops, and you want to make sure that your backing track doesn't start playing again when it's reached the end. Here's what to do. Press the memory button. It'll show memory on the top line and loop on the bottom. Press the main knob. Now it says reverse on the top line and off on the bottom. Turn the main knob clockwise until it says one shot on the top line and off on the bottom line. Press the main knob again and turn it once until it shows one shot on the top line and on the bottom line. Press the memory button twice to get back to the main screen. Now at this point you'd want to rename your files, as the RC5 simply calls them Memory 1, Memory 2, etc. Now I also turned down the rhythm track volume down to 0. Most importantly, save your track. We won't get into that in this video, but you can consult the manual to show you how to do this. Now for this tutorial, I'll just be using 2 backing tracks. But if I was programming for full gigs, I'd probably have 30 to 40 backing tracks. Well, we're getting closer. All of the backing tracks are now stored in the RC5. And since we will be controlling the RC5 from the Tone Master Pro via MIDI, all we have left to do on the RC5 is set up the MIDI controllers. If you aren't familiar with how MIDI works, I'd suggest doing some research on it. I'm not going to cover that in this video, but if enough people ask, I'll do a MIDI primer video. Okay, now you need to connect the 2 units. The Tone Master Pro uses the standard 5-pin connector, but the RC5 uses an 1/8 inch TRS jack. I picked up the Boss TRS/MIDI cable. If you plan on using a different cable, make sure that it is a Type A style. In a Type B cable, the tip and ring positions are swapped and won't work with the Tone Master Pro. The RC5 lets you set up a total of 8 MIDI controllers, starting with CC number 80 through CC number 87. Right now, these aren't assigned to anything, but you can assign them to any of the functions listed on page 14 of the main manual. Now, we're not going to set up a specific MIDI channel for the RC5, as we're only connecting the Tone Master Pro to it. It defaults to Omni mode, which means that the RC5 will receive MIDI messages sent on any MIDI channel. Press the Setup button again. The screen shows Setup on the top and General on the bottom. Turn the knob clockwise until the screen shows Setup on the top and Control on the bottom. Press the main knob and turn it until the top line of the screen says CC number 80 function and the bottom line says off. By the way, MIDI CC stands for continuous controller or controller change. Press the main knob again and turn it clockwise until the top line on the screen says CC number 80 function and the bottom line says track play/stop. This controls the playback function of a track. Press the memory button twice to return to the main screen. Alright, now let's set up your presets, songs, and set lists on the Tone Master Pro. I created 2 presets, one for each of the backing tracks that I added to the RC5. Now I've got the first preset pulled up. If we click on Preset Settings, down here on the bottom of the screen, we get sent to the Preset Settings panel. Click on Preset MIDI. As you can see, I'm sending on MIDI channel 1, but the RC5 is in Omni mode, so it really doesn't matter what channel you send. Program change is set to 1. That means that when you click on that preset in the Tone Master Pro, it tells the RC5 that it wants to use the first backing track. MIDI CC number is set to 80. You might not remember this, but we set up the RC5 so that it does the play/stop function when it receives CC number 80. Now you might be asking yourself, okay, Why are there two MIDI messages here? Well, here's where things get a little weird. When you set the MIDI CC number, you also set a parameter called MIDI CC value. Now, MIDI CC value isn't mentioned anywhere in the RC reference manual, and I had no idea how to set it. Long story short, I was able to find out that you need to send two MIDI CC number messages back to back to get these functions to respond. MIDI CC value is set to 0 in the first message, and in the second message, MIDI CC value is set to 127. Boss really should mention this in the manual. Anyway, if this stuff is starting to make sense, you probably see that when we activate this preset on the Tone Master Pro, it should start playing back track number 1 on the RC5. Hey, now we're getting somewhere. But what if you need to stop the backing track for some reason and the RC5 isn't near you? You know, like when you're at a gig and right when you start a song, the bar manager rushes up to you to tell you to announce that wings are 50% off tonight. Well, you can't do that with the backing track playing, right? Okay, let's click the back arrow twice. And we're back at our preset. Click on foot switch assign again. As you can see, I set up one foot switch for lead, but I also have two other foot switches over here. One is called stop. Let's see what this foot switch does. Click on the label, and that brings us to the preset foot switch assignment panel. Type is MIDI CC. MIDI channel is 1. CC number is 80. Again, remember, we set up the RC5 so that it does track play/stop function when it receives CC number 80. And once again, MIDI CC value is set to 0. And then in the second message, we set up MIDI CC value to be 127. So that means if you press on the stop foot switch, it stops playback of the backing track. So you told your audience about the wing special, but now how do you restart the song? Well, you might have noticed that I have another foot switch right above the stop foot switch. This one is called start over. Let's take a look at what this foot switch does. Click on the label, and we're back at preset foot switch assignment. Once again, it's set up the same thing. Type is MIDI CC, MIDI channel is 1, CC number 80, which controls track, play, and stop. Active CC value is 0, and on the second message, active CC value is 127. So if you step on the start over foot switch, the track starts playback again from the beginning. I also have the stop and start over foot switches in switch link group A, so that only one of them can be active at a time. See, start over is pressed. Now if you press stop, it turns off start over. The second preset is set up exactly the same way, except that when you go to preset MIDI, program change is set to 2. That means when you click on this preset in the Tone Master Pro, it tells the RC5 that it wants to use the second backing track. Remember, you can repeat this process up to 99 times. Now I'm using one preset in each of the songs. I have BYOB Song 1 and BYOB Song 2. And when you take a look at the set list, number 1 is Song 1 and number 2 is Song 2. Okay, let's hit the set list. There's BYOB set list. See how the stop button works? Now let's press the start over button. Now let's hit song number 2. See? Stop works there. And that's how it works, guys. It's really convenient once you get it set up right. Now, I know that this was a long video, and hopefully it didn't give you a headache. I wish that the RC5 was easier to set up, but I'm guessing that Boss had to cut some corners to get it to sell for $200. And you know, the process does get easier every time you add another backing track. And once you're done, it is ready to go for all of your upcoming gigs. The RC5 does come with a lot of really good features. And overall, I would say it's definitely a good value. It's just not as easy to use as the Tone Master Pro though. Let me know what you think about using an external looper with the Tone Master Pro. Is it something you're interested in? Or do you just prefer playing by yourself and guitar? Or does the thought of getting on stage by yourself give you the heebie-jeebies? And if you're still here, thank you so much for stopping by and sticking around. I really do appreciate it. If you have any other questions, comments, or suggestions, drop me a line right here, and I'll get back to you as soon as I possibly can. Now, next Wednesday, we will be having all new content for the Tone Master Pro. You don't want to miss that. So go ahead and hit that subscribe button and ring that notification bell. All right, guys, have a fantastic week. Stay warm, and I'll be talking with you again next Wednesday.